Hey you guys, welcome back to part 4. In this part, we're going to be texturing the cylinder of the revolver. So before we start, I had a couple changes that I made real quick. So on the bullet, I added these darker scratches here, just to kind of give it a bit more like scratchy details and stuff like that. You can kind of see it there. When you put it down in the spec, it kind of affects the highlight a bit as well. So that's the main reason I did that, was just add a bit more scratching to it. And not just in the gloss, because we had enough in the gloss, but not much in here. Added chipping to the end of the bullet, just some little like height dents. This is the layer I did it. All it is just a standard brush, just painted in some stuff, removed some stuff, and then I took a blur, and a blur slope, and then another blur on top of that, and that gave us this height warbling effect. I don't know what to call it, but and then a little bit down in the gloss as well. You can see. I thought that was like a nice touch. I thought it added like a difference into the highlight and stuff, so that's why I added that. I made the red stripe a bit softer back here. So as before, I kind of stenciled it in and it looked too stenciled in, so I kind of softened it, decreased a little bit, and just kind of manually brushed some of it out. Another thing I did was I rebaked the trigger. I fixed that bake error. Or rather, it wasn't a bake error, it was more of the high poly was just kind of not good. So I went ahead and just manually beveled or filleted these edges in Fusion, and then I went ahead and just rebaked that. So it is all fixed there. Another thing was, so in the last part, you'll notice that the primer of the bullet was struck, so like I had a little indent here. The reason I did that was because of references like this. I wanted to like do a super close up, so I figured like maybe modeling it would look really cool, but it actually like was kind of hurting me because I like if I wanted to do like a fresh bullet, it's like kind of permanently stuck in there, you know. So I decided that we're gonna delete that, and then in a next on one probably like a touch up pass of these bullets, we're gonna model in the primer strike and just have it on a layer that we can toggle on and off. And it'll also give us more flexibility with it, so I can make like imperfect details like this, because the way I had modeled it in was a bit too perfect. So yeah, so there we go. I think that's all the changes I made there. Yeah, so we can go ahead and get started on the cylinder. I added a few references that we're gonna use. So like a lot of revolvers, they have this scratch here, which is kind of like iconic to revolvers. Yeah, see. So we're gonna add a little bit of that, but not much. It doesn't really exist on this gun. I don't know, I'm not sure why, but we saw a little bit of this effect. So I think what I'm gonna do is like kind of mix and match the body and take some of this like red specular details that we've done and sort of add it there as well. So I think we can go ahead and get started now. So let's go to the cylinder. I already have a fill layer set up. Nothing special, just black metal. The diffuse I picked from the body, and then the gloss around, that's actually the default 0.7. We'll call this base 1. Let's go ahead and break up some materials. So we're gonna go pretty, a lot of the references show it as being pretty glossy, but yeah, it's kind of the same gloss value as the body, so we can go ahead and start that going. Although maybe we go a bit more matte. Let's try a bit more matte with it. A bit less glossy with it. I think that'll look cool. Okay. If you go matte with things, I think it gives you a lot more room to do like special oils and stuff, but we'll try that later. And we're also going to be replicating this right here. All this stuff in here, we're going to be replicating all that. So let's get started. Let's break up some materials. So we have base 1, and we'll make base 2. We'll apply base 2 right here. So this material we can go, already have, I think, there we go, some gloss breakup, and then the diffuse, let's go darker with it. Let's take out the blue. Cool. And then there's little pins, they're hidden here. The little pins right here, these are silver, so we can go ahead and grab the body. We're gonna go grab that and then recycle the silver from it. Take the silver, go back to the cylinder, and recycle. Redo the mask. There we go, there we go. Then I believe this part is also silver as well. And this part in here is a silver, or like a shiny metal as well, but it's actually a different value altogether. So let's go ahead and mess with that. Let's grab this material here. Let's give it like a, it almost feels like kind of like a yellowish tint to it. So go ahead and give it just a slight yellow. Nice, that looks cool. All right. The inside material there, we'll make it base silver as well. Tiny little gasket looking thing in here, so we'll make that. And we'll give it a new value as well. We'll just do something like this. Drag the specular down. Something not happen here? There we go. Too dark. Let's go dark like that. Okay. Stick with something like that for now. Okay, so let's that's about all the base materials we need to do, I think. So we can go ahead and start adding some materials to it. So let's go ahead and add like a base normal map layer. Green. There we go. Let's grab stick pixel plastic. Oh, hold on, the computer here. So go ahead and drag in my favorite material ever. Set it to triplanar. Not planar, triplanar. There we go. Scale it up. Turn off everything but the normal. There we go. We get some nice normal map noise. Rotate it so we don't see the tiling as much, because as you can see, I can see the tiling details here. So one thing to keep in mind is to always watch out for stuff like that. So put the noise to about right there, or something like that. I'm going to actually add a black mask to it because I modeled in these chamfers because I really wanted to do something with these chamfers. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select the whole thing and then mask out these chamfers, which I unwrapped in 4 parts. So there you go. We'll have to do each one of these. Cool. That works for me. One thing I am going to do is I'm going to forgot this part right here, so I'm going to take that part, do that as well. Okay, cool. So now the chamfers are blank. Let's go ahead and add some brushing to those. We're going to keep it pretty subtle. Let me grab my brush material, Quixel Aluminum Brushed. And that is the wrong one. That is the right one. There we go. Let me go ahead and do this again. Select that, deselect that, deselect that. So we got all those. Set it to triplanar. See how that looks. Let's turn off everything but the normal. Just a nice little brushing normal map effect on it. That looks decent. Say that's decent for now. We can mess with it later. Go ahead and add it here as well. One thing I am going to do is I'm going to turn on the specular, but I'm going to try something. I'm going to take this specular layer, I'm going to turn it down. So we increase the specular on the edge, but we keep it kind of subtle. So that's a nice highlight to it. Let's see how that looks. I should have some previews of the... Okay, so the base values look good. Looks like the normal map did not import properly, actually. Let me try this. Really crank it. And, 1 second. Okay, so I actually had the wrong normal map applied. I had the baked normal map applied, so this is looking pretty strong, so we can go ahead and go back and... Okay, so this is looking pretty strong. I had the wrong normal map applied. I had the baked normal map, not the painter exported normal map, so we can go ahead and just lower this again. I want to see what happens if I set it to UV projection. What do we get? Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and do this. So the triplanar wasn't exactly working. I don't think there's another projection mode that's going to really work for us. So I'm going to go ahead and take this brush layer, turn it off where it's facing the wrong direction. Okay, so those areas look good. I'm going to grab this, mask it to those areas that were wrong. Like that. And then rotate it. There we go. Cool. That's what I want to do. We can do the same here. So the brushing is facing the wrong direction here, 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 good there, here, good, good, here, here. Okay, so now we can go ahead and grab this one, select there, 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 there. Cool. So now all the brushing is facing the correct direction. One thing I noticed is that the grain looked awfully flat. So we'll just increase it just a tiny bit. Then we'll add another Quixel material on top of that. Using the same mask, we'll add Dusty Quixel Metal Steel Dusty. And then we'll see how this looks. Turn off everything but the normal. Get us some normal variation. There we go. Cool, not bad. All right. So another thing we can see is a really slight brushing. This one has a really slight brushing effect going on. Maybe actually what we should do is maybe turn down the grain. Turn down these grains that we added and add, take another brushing layer like this. I believe this is all unwrapped in one shell, so we should be able to just quickly, yeah, there we go. Do this. And then just kind of do that. Maybe put some of it in the gloss too. That should look pretty cool. So we'll do something like that. Just a subtle effect more in the gloss, I think, will look really cool. The brushing looks cool. Nice, alright. So we can clearly see it. Let's take it down in the gloss. Grab the gloss channel, turn it down a tiny bit. Just so it's a really subtle effect. Cool. That looks nice. Now we're gonna take... So it looks like there's also there should be some brushing in here because we can kind of tell that these were machined out, so we want to add that as well. I have a couple of cool ideas how we can kind of vary it up from different, just like straight up vertical stripes like I usually do. I have a couple of ideas actually, and it came from this reference right here, so if you kind of look really closely, they're almost like concave looking stripes and striations. So I'm going to try to add that a little bit. Okay, so what I'm going to try here is, I have this brush, this alpha, it's literally just, let me scroll down here, it's literally just this crescent, like, line shape, and then, so what I want to try to do is try to get these, like, concave sort of shapes in, so I'm going to grab the spacing. I can provide this, by the way, in the files or on my Discord. Yeah, so that's going to look pretty cool. We're going to manually... Yeah, I think we're going to manually paint these in, so it's not too hard to do. We just grab a stripes, paint it in, and just add a few more on the front. Maybe we missed a little spot back there. There we go. I think this is going to look pretty cool, and it's going to differentiate it from just doing vertical and horizontal stripes like I usually do, so This will look pretty sweet. Right now there's nothing to them, they're just in the diffuse, but we'll edit that later. This stripe got a little messed up, cool. Doesn't have to be perfect. There we go. So this one I didn't go all the way, which I'm like not working at like at a weird angle here. Cool. And then we'll do this again. It's kind of a creative way that I've been doing, like sort of brushing like this. I just grabbed this, I wouldn't say creative, but you know, I just grabbed a crescent shape and then I just started doing that. And I'm like, oh, that looks pretty cool. Wonder what we can try this on, you know? We'll add this in here. Let's grab a UV border generator. And we'll set it to subtract. So we get a nice soft little fall off there. And then we can go ahead and start working on the channels that we wanted in. So I wanted in the height for sure. Probably very subtle in the height because we're starting to get that moire effect. You can kind of see, yeah, oh yeah, you can really see it on the recording, but there we go. So we're gonna lower that quite significantly, and then I think in the gloss, we'll nuke it in the gloss, and we'll see how that looks real quick. That looks pretty sweet. Oh yeah, that looks pretty. Oh yeah. Sweet. Oh yeah, that looks great. That looks really cool. All right, cool. Okay, so let's work on getting some gloss variation. I think we've just about finished all the normals, so let's go ahead and get some oils in. Sorry, that was my wrist. I just realized I think that picked up on the recording. Sorry about that. Right. Oils. So I'm gonna go ahead and change out my alpha. I don't need this anymore. Where's my standard? There we go. Standard alpha. Let's start actually with some fill layers. So just grab a fill. We'll probably just stick with grunge. My fingerprints dirty. Actually, let's use David Grurier. Let's use. He has some really nice finger oils, like smudgy ones, like Dirt 01 fingerprints. This one's super nice. Yeah, this one's really great. We're adding some nice oils. Let's go ahead and do that. Lower it a bit. Let's duplicate. Let's do another. Let's call it oil specs. And let's use another David Grurier grunge specs. Let's try something like this. Let's drag in this one right here. Smudge specs black. Let's grab a levels. Levels. Take out some of the gray. Bump up the values. Yeah, let's do something like that. Nice. Add some nice sharp little specks here and there. Looks cool. I like that. Okay. Let's add some larger shapes. Let's add a fill on top of this. Set it to linear dodge add. Let's use Painter's good old. Oh, my library froze for a second. There we go. Grunge fingerprints dry. Let's go ahead and grab this guy. And lower him a bit. Cool. Let's duplicate this layer and let's get some layers for free. Let's autosave. Let's lower the gloss, and then I'm gonna rotate it to kind of so that we're not lined up perfectly. Lower it a tiny bit. There we go. We get some nice oils and dirt going on. Cool. Then some of these specs. Oh, I forgot to rotate these specs because they're perfectly lining up with everything else. So rotate that, and now we got some like dirty little scratches and stuff on there. That looks pretty sweet. Let's go ahead and add these diffuse specs. We can take this layer actually. Delete this. It's going to be lower in the gloss if we're going to go towards white. Then on the levels, we're going to levels it pretty harshly. There we go. Oh, that looks terrible. Perhaps we need to level even more harshly. There we go. Fill there, crank up the fill. And then we're going to take the diffuse and lower it. Not bad. Let's see how that looks. Okay. I feel like we're a bit too dark, honestly. I feel like we went a bit too dark. Let me check actually one thing. Specular. Yeah, I think we can bring it up, pick up the diffuse a tiny bit on this guy. So specular is already a bit higher, but the diffuse, I want to pick it up. About right there. So one question I get a lot is why don't I texture in aces here? And truth be told, I haven't really gotten used to it because a lot of clients don't really like that. So I just have not been doing that. Really no other reason to it. Let's increase the gloss. So we get it reading more like a metal. Cool. This is gonna look cool. One thing I'm noticing is that the gloss is already looking a bit cloudy. So I'm gonna grab the gloss on some of these layers, these dirt layers, crank it up, but I'll lower some of that a little bit. There we go. So it's not looking too cloudy. And then what we can do is we can crank these oils a bit up a bit. Awesome. Okay. So a lot of the oils and gloss variation I'm going to be adding on this guy. Ooh, nice fingerprint right here. I just realized. A lot of people say don't add fingerprints, but there you go. Look, a fingerprint right there. A lot of this work is going to come into right here. So we'll stick to just the cylinder for now. One thing I am going to add is some dirt and oils around where the bullets go off. So if I do this render over, down back, or sorry, back here, we're going to need a lot of dirt and oils around where the bullets. Yeah, so you can see it burning right here. There's a lot of stuff going on around these bullets. So we can add some of that, or we can. Let's not do back here for now. Let's actually stick to adding some of this color variation. Actually, where was that reference? Oh, by the way, I added test renders back, down here. You may, if you saw these on like Twitter or something, these are how I've done it. So you can kind of see some yellowing going on here. Ooh, some sharp oils leaking from back here. We can see that. Let's add that actually. Let's grab our oils, add a paint layer, activate symmetry. We could get some free work. Go ahead and add that. Okay, lower the opacity quite a bit. Let's paint in some of those soft oils. I'm going to be burning some of these parts, so we're going to do lower gloss work too as well. But for now, I think we'll just stick to this. See how that looks. Just real quick, kind of a bang up job on it, but looks pretty cool. So let's kind of lower them here a little bit. And we'll add, let's grab a stencil. Let's grab this fingerprints dry. Let's stencil in some, set it to linear dodge add, by the way. There we go. Stencil in some oils. Let's get, looking good. Let's get a fingerprint going. So really you can use whatever you want to do fingerprints. David Grurier has this, which I really like to use. He's got this, it's just all fingerprints, so we can just go ahead and just stencil on a fingerprint right there. Nice. Nice and easy right there. Cool. test export real quick. Looks cool. Let's go ahead and grab from the body. Let's go ahead and grab these specular layers that we were working with. So in the body metal, we can change our thumbnail here to specular so we can see the colors. Because we do have quite a bit of layers. And here they are, right here. So copy those, go to the cylinder. And let's go ahead and paste them on top. I think before I do this, I'm going to do one thing. So I'm going to grab, I'm actually going to, so we have this like cool UV border effect that we made. I'm going to do that again actually. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lower the diffuse back to sort of where we had it, and then grab another layer on top of it, add black mask, add generator, grab the UV border generator, turn off everything but the diffuse, go lighter. There we go. On the generator, let's invert it. We grab the inside faces there. Something like that. Add a filter to it. Let's add a blur. So we can blur it up a bit. There we go. Nice. And then let's take the diffuse and lower that back down. Nice. So we got that same sort of effect going. And now let's export that actually. Let's make sure we didn't just ruin it. Looks neat. Looks very cool and neat. I think I might change some of the brushing later, but that's something we're going to deal with later. We also need to add brushing in here, but we can do that later as well. So let's go ahead and stencil in some of these color variations. So look at the reference. We're going to do this exact effect. I don't really like the way it like looks, just kind of ending right here and here. I'm sure there's some sort of reason for it, but I don't really like that look. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of stencil in some stuff that I think looks cool. So for this stencil, we're going to grab one of my assets, and then we're going to grab probably something. Actually, let's use one of Painter's default. There's a material called paper. Yeah, this one. Let's try some of this stuff. A bit too sharp, but we can still kind of try it. Maybe go on with like a super low opacity and just kind of stroke in some stuff. Something like that, I think looks pretty decent. Yeah, look, we can work this out. We can make this work. Let's go ahead and just redo this red so we get rid of it, and just add a bit of it along the edge here. I'm painting this, right? I was not painting. So, specular, just kind of paint in some red. Do a quick test, see how that looks. No, it looks really cool, but just too strong, so we'll lower that. I think what we'll do is we'll actually just finish it off. So we'll paint off. Oh, and I did symmetry too. There we go. Yeah, let's actually keep symmetry active. That was actually pretty good that I did that. Light over here. There we go. Let's go ahead and kind of stencil in. Oh, that's the red. Let's grab the yellow. Stencil in some shapes. Maybe make them a bit softer. Paint them in a bit more solid. Like this. Oh yeah, that looks cool. Looks really cool. Go ahead and remove the symmetry. Let's grab this guy up here. Paint him in. There we go. We can view the specular channel. Oops, I don't want to do that. All right, you can go ahead and edit the top. Let's make them all about, get them all to be about the same value. There we go. And then we can grab the specular and lower it. Like totally upside down in that. Okay, so one thing right now, we're looking super dirty. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of paint him to be a bit more solid. Just grab a super soft brush. Paint out some of the more stencily looking details. Just make them go super subtle. One thing, these oils are really strong actually now that I look at it. Right here. These are really strong. These are really strong as well. Turn down these specs a little bit. Where did those go? Let's call this curved milling. And then I had those diffuse specs. Where did those go? Go ahead and, oh, oops, didn't mean to do that. You don't want to lower the levels because that's going to mess with things. So, or the lower the fill because then the levels is going to like mess it up. So we just lower the diffuse a little bit to get some subtle stuff like that going. I'm trying to think maybe for this specular stuff, we take the gloss and lower it, maybe? Let's try that. No, we don't want to touch the gloss, I don't think. I think we'll stick to something like that for now. Okay, let's go ahead and paint in some of the red. Taking a super subtle brush, just kind of brushing the edges of the yellow. Probably turn on symmetry when I need it. Yeah, there we go. This is what really creates the burning effect, the red. So. Might be a better way to do this with masking, just like grabbing like an anchor point and grabbing like the border, but I think this looks kind of nice. I don't really see this being like a huge deal that I'm just painting. I do a lot of like manually hand painting stuff just because sometimes it's really just not worth it to sit there messing with masks for 10 minutes when I could have just painted it in, you know? And there we go. That looks pretty nice. Cool. Got that going. Cool. I think what else can we add here? Almost looks like the edges are like darkened on this as well. Looks like the insides are burned pretty harshly. We could try to add some of that maybe. Maybe paint some in here. harsh. Maybe lower the gloss a bit and then darken the specular. We get like a kind of like a heat burning effect going on. Not sure how I feel about that. I think the gloss kind of hurts it. Maybe we could just take it down in the diffuse too. Yeah, put some of it in the diffuse and the specular. That should look decent. Let's just paint them in real quick and then we can remove them later. We'll just take this, just kind of do symmetry and just kind of do this. Working on the wrong layer. Oops. Sweet. Go ahead and export. I don't think it's going to be super noticeable, but it is a tiny bit noticeable. So stick with it for now. So it looks like a lot of these references are like a dark glossy metal. So we're on the right track. I think one thing I'm going to do, I think I'm going to remove the brushing. The brushing is just really adding a lot to it, and it's just kind of not working out. This brushing is right here. I just try turning it off altogether. Yeah, honestly, I think that looks better. So I'm gonna roll with that for now. I think. I think my main camera. So it seems a little too dark. I'm not too sure. Okay. We can roll with this for now. Let's work on. So I'm gonna try to work on this scratch a little bit, but I have a couple ideas. So looks like on this particular revolver, I don't know if it's just like more well made or something, but it just doesn't exist on this one. So I think I'm gonna try it, but maybe just put it in the gloss. So let's call this radial scratch. I'm gonna try just increasing the specular just a tiny bit on it. Add paint, and I'm gonna grab one of my favorite stencils that Painter provided. Drips. Yes, this one. I'm gonna grab this alpha, but I'm gonna put it in this stencil. There we go. Do something like this. Increase the specular. Kind of add in some more details alongside of it to kind of help build it up a little bit, so it's not just a straight line, which might exist in the real world, but I just kind of like to reinforce details sometimes. So I'm gonna try that. See what this looks like. So the gloss is not working on it. Let's start increasing it. So about right there. Looks decent. So one thing I am noticing is that it is a pretty thick line actually, so just grab this. Try just doing something like this. Just kind of manually break it up. I think that looks a lot better. There you go. So when I had it before, it didn't really feel as intentional. It kind of just felt like a stenciled in thing. So go ahead and do that. And then we can go ahead and add it right here as well. I'll just start with the stencil to kind of get a line for it going. There you go. And then we can go ahead and just cool. And then we can go ahead and do the top as well. The one thing we want is, looks like our symmetry messed up pretty significantly, so it's kind of unfortunate. Yeah, so we need to paint it out from these. This really weird way. Oh, you know why? Because this thing's not perfectly symmetrical. That's obviously why. So we can remove these. Cool. Okay. So another question I get a lot is why I choose to use spec gloss, and I think the reason I use spec gloss is because you have the specular channel, which gives you like another way to kind of add details, and I just really like that. I don't really I am very familiar with metal rough, using metal rough, but I kind of just have recently been using more spec gloss. I find it more easy for me to understand. Well, I mean, metal rough is probably easier to understand than all of them, but I think spec gloss just gives the artist a little bit more creativity, like a little more freedom, I think. So that's my thoughts. Although, really, there is like when it comes to texturing, if someone asks like, "What's better, this or this?" like there is no answer. They're all like, you can achieve these results in metal rough. Like so, maybe I'll do another something or other, but in metal rough, maybe. Okay. I'm gonna try something real quick. So try lowering the gloss. Just experimenting. Yeah, I think we're actually gonna lower the gloss because if we went too bright, and when things get bright, they start getting really dark. I think that was kind of the problem. So I'm gonna go ahead and this is our default value. Yeah, this is what we had it at. I'm gonna lower it about 0.64. Okay, we can roll with that. You can try to get these edges to read a bit darker by using a edge generator. Subtle edge generator, of course. Turn off the grunge. There we go. So we make them a bit glossier. Making them subtly glossier might just get what we want. Tiny bit more. Okay. Okay, now it's too visible, so we'll just lower it to about right there. Kind of find a happy medium. Well, honestly, our surface variation is looking pretty good already. I like the nice fingerprint there. Perhaps maybe the fingerprint is just a bit, oh, autosave. Perhaps just a bit too strong. So, grab the layer I did that on. Just kind of. Okay. Paint out the oils from right here. They're like reacting with the edges and just looking like super weird. It's not a huge deal. Okay, cool. We can go ahead and do a little bit of work on the rear part. The bullet casings are. Where's my reference? There we go. This reference is awesome. So here we can really see some of the yellow surface variation. You can see some of the dirt and the burn marks around the bullets. So we've got a lot of work to do back here. The one thing I might do actually is make a new folder just for the rear, and just so that I can kind of add generators and stuff that won't affect everything else. I'll just do black mask the folder, do this, and then deselect all of these UV shells whilst selecting those. A couple things I want to mask out are the silver bits that we did, so like in here and here. There. That's a silver bit too. I'll probably leave it here as well. Oops, what am I? There, yeah. Oops. I'm all over the place today, so yeah, we'll leave these on. There, there, and the inside there. I feel like I'm missing some shells. There we go. Okay, so now we can add some like generators and stuff and just have it affect more so this area pretty easily. So I'll start with some of this burn effect around the bullets here. For that, we're gonna nuke the gloss and probably keep it low in the diffuse. We can try that. So let's work over here. Actually, this is much easier. Let's grab a stencil. Let's grab let's use that paper one that we were using. Paper, grunge paper ripped. Yeah, this is a nice little layer here. I like this, or stencil here. I like this one. Go ahead and just stencil in some base details. I erased these ones on accident. Okay, so these are quite strong. So take a layer, just kind of do that. Okay, let's go ahead and try and set up symmetry actually right here. We can try. I think we can do this. Yeah. Should work. Yeah. We could kind of just do half the work. We'll paint around some of these shapes so that to make sure that they're not perfectly butterflying to each side. Or like there, you can kind of see the butterfly. That's why it's called the butterfly effect, because it kind of like makes that looks like butterfly wings, you know. So. Like do it, turn off symmetry and just kind of do a different stencil in this area. Paint in a bit more softer shapes. Let's add a paint layer on top. Actually, I think we're doing fine. Although I should be using these paint layers. I am guilty of forgetting to throw down a paint layer. But something like that looks good. Take out some of the sharper shapes. Try to keep it like messy and subtle. Go ahead and export. Maybe instead of the diffuse, kind of just keep it in the gloss, or we can lower the specular. Lowering the specular might be an okay idea. That'll make it look super dirty though. Yeah. And we gotta kind of mess with it, so what if we just subtly lower the gloss instead? Okay. That kind of works, but it's not really, I just don't think I think it's gonna turn around and hurt us in the end, so go ahead and do this. We'll take the gloss. Let's paint out some of these sharp shapes, because those aren't looking very hot, so. Okay. I noticed, we shouldn't, I was gonna say maybe we could increase the gloss of this entire back face, these back faces, but I don't think that's gonna, I don't think it's gonna be what a good idea. So one thing I will do is I'll add a new normal. I'll add my Rusty Dusty Quixel Metal Dusty. And this should be in the rear folder. Okay. See how that looks? I need to scale that differently. Maybe we try somewhere like right there. This one's not really working out. Let's try a different one. Let's try Quixel Plastic Rubber Synthetic. Let's try this like synthetic plastic. No, that one's not gonna work. It's definitely not gonna work. I think we're gonna have to add some of these details a bit manually, so go ahead and do this. Add a black mask, add a fill. Remove the material node from it. Crank the height on it. Add a fill. Let's try. This one actually looks pretty decent if you use it right. Not bad. Not bad. afford it. Actually, let's maybe increase the gloss on it. That might look cool. Those are not doing much. It's super subtle. I don't think it's really going to do anything, but we can just try. Okay. Maybe we test. I had the wrong lighting scenario set up. Okay. Oops. All right. Well, this is looking better already. I think I had. Yeah, I had the bullets. So I have two lighting scenarios: one for the bullet, one for the gun. So the bullet lighting was not looking good on this. Okay, we got some nice normal map effects going on. We can go ahead and increase this gloss again. Um, Turn back on the specular on it. Okay, we're looking decent. Let's add some oils on it, on this face. Just to see how it looks. I know it's super strong, but okay, yeah, it's a little too strong. So we'll take this, let's do a triplanar projection. Let's lower it a bit, just to get some more subtler shapes. That looks cool. Let's go ahead and manually paint in some stuff now. I gotta paint. Go ahead and symmetry. I'm gonna paint in oils that are coming out of this crevice right here. I think that'll look pretty cool. Set it to linear dodge add so we're not removing stuff. Might look a bit mirror-like. So we're gonna test it out in the render, of course. Let's do a bit on this side. Then let's just quickly break up a bit of the symmetried areas. Maybe this one leaks a bit lower. Like that. Okay. Something like that. Just something to give it no symmetry. See how this looks. So it is a bit too strong. Go ahead and tone it down. Something like that I think will look great. Yeah, that looks great. Oh yeah, that looks awesome. Okay. I'm gonna try something. No, I don't think I should try anything. Oh, this gives us really great details. We're gonna add some of these scratches too. Okay, some nice blue burning effect going on. Nice. Let's go ahead and try. We can try to actually get some of that stuff in. Back here, I was noticing it a little bit. You can sort of see a little bit of this burning, so we can go ahead and try to actually grab our this is our red color variation in the specular down here. We can try to actually grab a black mask it and then add a generator. Give me a UV. Hit it with an invert. This, hit it with a blur. Something like that. And then we can try to add a multiply layer on top of it. Set it to 100. Make sure you set it to 100. Kind of setting it to a lower value just so we can get a bit more blur to it. And then we can lower the specular. You get something like that, but maybe we try the yellow instead, actually. The yellowish orange. Saturate it a bit more. Maybe we try something like that. What does that look like? I don't want this whole thing to read as like a different... Okay, that's like way too much. But we can easily change that. Cut it in half. Export. Huh. It's almost reading like an orange or yellow. Sort of really subtly just kind of crank it down and down. We sort of end up with something like that, but it's not looking right. Maybe we do go back to a red. Red does look kind of cooler. Let's stick with that for now. Let's go ahead and increase the gloss in those areas. Very subtly. Yeah, just super subtle gloss change there. Let's we can try to work in some of this goop down here. I don't know what to call it, just goop. So for that we can simply add black mask, add a generator. We can use a dirt generator. And this dirt generator is getting us in a pretty good area. Like that. We'll keep the grunge amount to about there. And we'll actually add... We can recycle actually this right here. Put it to 100. We get something along the lines of that. Balance down. Let's increase the height. Yeah, so we get a lot of these globs. Let's mess with the rotation of this a little bit. Get some globby stuff like that. Then we can go here, undo that, so we get back to the dirt, and then we just increase the gloss. We work in sort of this oily stuff. And let's see how that looks. Might look a bit strong. Might look too black. Sure. No. It actually looks pretty cool. I think I'll take the height. Lower it just a teeny tiny bit. That looks pretty cool. Yeah, I was surprised that actually turned out to pretty decent on the first try there. So let's keep that. We got the oil buildup going on around here as well. I think actually it's not that big of a deal. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to recycle this, and I'm going to make it get like this yellow, some sort of this like yellowish brownish diffuse. I'm going to try to work some of that in. We'll do that. We'll lower the dirt quite significantly. Then we'll grab this multiply on top of it. Yeah, there we go. So we get a little of this brownish ugliness in there. Although it's really not showing. Maybe we nuke the gloss on it. So we get sort of like a dirt combined with oil type of effect, and that looks pretty cool. Yeah, that doesn't look too bad actually. Looks pretty nice. One thing I noticed off the rip, I'm gonna lower this brushing effect that we got going on. over here. A little stronger, 0.85. I'm gonna copy paste this value on all the brushing. Cool. And that should look much cleaner. More factory. There we go. Cool. Okay, so that looks cool. Let's go ahead and work in some of these specular scratches. So this will look pretty interesting. So we're just going to take a high spec layer. We're going to crank it up. Man, this looks pretty cool. It's silver, but anyways. So we've got a lot of these scratchy sort of shapes, and there's actually a perfect stencil for this. Let's try this real quick. See what this looks like. It's not bad. It's actually not bad. They're too solid, so I have another stencil that I'm going to try. Or alpha, rather. I don't know if that's the right one, actually. So it's, if you go to alpha, search leaks, you'll get these diagonal leak, what's it called? Diagonal drips. So we'll go ahead and remove this. Keep it, maybe just keep a little bit. And I'll just take some of this. I'm gonna actually increase the hardness of my brush so I don't. There we go. Add a sharpen filter to it so we can take out some of the excess values. Just kind of get some of that in. Although that, maybe not a sharpen filter actually. Let's add a paint layer. Just kind of blend it in a little bit. There we go. We're going to add some overall sort of spec details that are going to help tie everything in as well. Because right now we just have specular like in this one area, so it doesn't look too good. Maybe it looks like there's like one little line going across here, so we can kind of try to add that like right there. Increase the intensity there. I do the same thing right here. Similar. And maybe right here we don't really get that scratching. We just get kind of like a general wear there. See how she looks. Oh. Cool. So let's add a linear dodge layer. Actually, let's make it a paint layer. And let's kind of brush in some just higher spec areas just to blend it in. Because right now you can kind of see that it's here, it's here, it's here, it's here. So we kind of just paint in some softer values to blend it in a bit more. Brush is too strong. I kind of hate how when you paint in really soft with a low opacity, it's really strong, and then you paint it out and it's really soft. I'm not sure if that's like, I'm sure it's intentional, but like, I'm not really a fan of that. I'm saying. Paint a little bit on these tips. Oh, I did have another question that I've been asked recently on my Discord server while I paint in some of these softer shapes. You can kind of follow along with what I'm doing, but one question I get a lot is, should you show wireframes in your renders? That's a pretty good question. You know, if I was a recruiter, I would probably want to see, you know, a little bit of technical know-how, but like, honestly, man, if you're making like really cool art, like I don't really care, you know? Like if you're looking for a game art job, you could just put, I just like to put the try count and the number of texture sets in the actual description, like on ArtStation. So I'm not really a fan of doing wireframe renders. Maybe if I come up with like a cool idea for one, I would do it, but like other than that, they're kind of a bit boring to me, so I don't do them. And also I have a bit of work experience that kind of just shows that I don't really, that I know how to make optimize, and optimize low poly, good UVs and stuff like that. So my work experience kind of shows that already. So, however, if you are new, I would recommend doing like a little breakdown, but honestly, like I don't really need to see it. Like, so maybe a little. I don't know. Maybe just keep it to the comment section. Who knows? Or the description, I mean. But obviously, if you do breakdowns, all power to you. But I prefer not to. I actually never did, and then I did an art test. So that's part of the reason why art tests exist. So to make sure that you're not cheating on your wireframe and stuff like that. Not that that ever happens, but just one of the reasons why they exist. So I'm kind of painting in some little details here. Let's see how that looks in the render. Cool, cool, cool. Pretty interesting how it. I assume this is because of how it rotates. So it's kind of interesting how it like. Sorry, that was my wrist just cracked randomly sometimes. How it does this kind of star effect going on. So I think while we're here, I'll sort of paint in some small specks, just kind of all around. Kind of start with something like this, and then I'll remove them as I go. Like this, maybe some of these. That's a lot right there, so I'll probably just do that. Keep them subtle. Remember, KISS. Keep it subtle, stupid. I just made that up, actually. That was really cool. Okay. Or, yeah, I don't really like. I'm not gonna lie. I don't really like these. Brush them out. Yeah, I didn't really like those at all. Good to like right there. I will, however, add. Looks like there's a couple of little edge chips here and there. Excuse me. So I will go ahead and add those. Just using sort of these noise little alphas here on the edge. There we go. Cool. Go ahead and do something like that. Awesome. Maybe a little right here. Maybe like a micro nick right here. There you go. I want to kind of adjust where the specular brush kind of went over the edge here. Cool. Looks nice. So one thing is we can add some sort of sharper details. So add a paint. Set this one to linear dodge. And add some of these like sharper details here. These things get carried around like by the cylinder, so there's a lot of scratching and stuff going on here. Sticking to my good old standard brush. And these actually have a bit of this oily dirt stuff too, so you can add some of that. This was our oil. This was our brown dirt. So actually with this brown dirt, I think I can paint some in right on some of these shapes. I'm gonna go back to the paper grunge that we were using. This one's really cool. I actually discovered this one recently. I started to kind of looking around for different stencils, and I just kind of looked at this one. I was like, oh, this is a nice one. I made a new layer to take out the brown diffuse. It wasn't really working with me there. Paint in some dirt on these. My gloss channel. There we go. Oops. Oh, painter froze. Oh, wow. Okay. That was a big freeze there for a second. Make sure we're not doing anything too strong. Keeping it subtle. Add in a bit of dirt here and there. Stencil in some stuff. Stencil in some dirt right here. It is pretty fun doing really damaged stuff like this, so feel free to go crazy with it, you know. Stuff like this. Ooh, look at that. That looks cool. Oh, a bit too strong. There we go. See how that looks. All right, looking pretty good. Looking pretty good. Um, One thing I will say is we got to do some more oils. We need to really dirty up this piece here, so we can grab this oil. Grab this oil there. Go to the base silver. Let's do this actually. Let's kind of just get a free generator out of it. Like grunge amount, turn it up. We can add some free oils right here. Paint in something along the lines of this. There we go. It was kind of standing out to me that this silver piece was a bit too clean, so looks much better. One thing I will add is I'll add some dirt around these pieces. Wrong layer. Not sure why I'm deciding to do dirt here, but it's just something that will add a lot of contrast to the oils and stuff here. And I think that's super subtle. I don't think we should really even see it. Just tiny bits here and there. Cool. One thing I am noticing is the bullet has the old normal map, or old normal map applied. Okay, so I just went ahead and re-exported the bullet. We had the old bake applied to it, so this is already looking pretty sweet. This will make a. I kind of want to make this like a thumbnail shot. So like do something like this and like have it out right here. Yeah, this will be a cool thumbnail shot. So this is probably the dirtiest area of the whole gun, so it's important to give it quite a bit of attention. So this looks great. I think it's time to build up these outsides a bit more. And I believe we're also missing the yeah, we can't forget to do the logos and stuff. So there's a couple different versions of the cylinder. One of them has like the, let me go to Painter real quick. One of them has like the logo, the Korth logo on it. Like this one, I really like this one because I want to put the Korth logo in there. We've got all these different stencils that I think I have access to. I think I just noticed that these pins are actually really dull. Grab this base silver. Let me duplicate that and then put it right here on these guys. Then lower the gloss on these so that they're really dull. I'm going to remove some of these effects that are going on here. These noise effects, they're just a bit too strong for this lower gloss. Yeah, that looks cool. Oops, wrong there. Something like that gives a nice contrast. They're supposed to be pushed in, so I guess we could just grab the bolts here. I guess I pushed them out for some reason. There we go. That looks great. That looks really cool. Looking pretty cool. Looking pretty cool. So let's see what I've got in terms of the stencil. I think I might be missing some text on that. Let's go ahead and do them up here. Let's do the logos. Lugs, that's how you spell it. Nice. So let's go ahead and grab my... It looks like I've got the Korth logo, obviously. Text right here, I don't think I have. I think I can just do that with the text editor here. I've got 44 rem mag, CIP. Okay, so we can just go ahead and just start adding some stuff. So, Korth logo goes about right here. Add that in right there. Opacity, turn it up. All right. Make it white. Which I think for this, it looks like the Korth logo is the only thing that's like really bright. So leave that on its own layer. We'll do another logos copy. We'll grab, let's, hold on 1 second. So, all right, we'll go ahead and just do this then. I have this Korth DE here. A little too big. Might be like this in the reference, but it's just a little too big. Okay. Let's add, oh, here we go. Let's get to the left of it is the 44 REM. 44. And the mag. Something like that. And actually try something out of levels. With this levels, we kind of make the text a bit thinner. Yeah, that looks more like it's supposed to be. Add a filter. Add a very subtle blur to it. Add another, try another levels on top. Just get experimental with this. Add a filter, sharpen. See if this works. Yeah, so we kind of just hacked our way to getting a bit thinner in the text. So a little cheat, but if it works, it works. It looks like I do not have these texts here, so we can go ahead and just add those, actually. It's not a huge deal. I'm going to go ahead and grab... go into alphas and type font. You get a bunch of fonts here. So I'm going to pick one, a default Substance one that we all have. Grab this one here. This one's called Font Thera, looks like. And I'll go ahead and do CIP. Oh, the font doesn't look correct. I'm actually going to grab Roboto. This is a font that I downloaded a long time ago, so I don't think it exists anywhere, but it's literally just, I can type whatever Roboto font in there, and this just gives us like a super basic font. So I'm not sure if that exists anymore. However, I looked into it, and there's a font tool on ArtStation that I think I might get, because I mean it's just something that's so helpful. I could sit here and make, this stencil here. Looks like this is also black, so we need a different color here. But sometimes you just need these fonts because they're just so easy to add. Let's lower the gloss so we can sticks out like a decal. We're missing the N. N. That's the wrong. There we go. And let's get this serial number. So, what I do have. For this project, I did use this serial number, which we can go ahead and just recycle, actually. So, making sure that this is the proper way it's supposed to be. The font goes there, goes there. Yeah, so this is correct. We'll go ahead and use... Then every once in a while, just kind of adjust the rotation of the stencil. Looks like actually... spacing on these is quite high. Looks bad. Cool, that looks pretty good. We're just going to rotate the D a little bit too. K a little bit. Right about there, and we're going to call that good. The 2 is like abnormally large, I just realized. Oh yeah, that's right. This serial number is actually totally different. Increase the size slightly. All right, let's go ahead on these and add a. Let's go ahead and add the fingerprint dirty texture onto it. Hit it to multiply. Actually going to increase them quite a bit. Then I think that'll do. I think actually this logo here is actually inset. I think so. Let's grab this and let's crank down the height. We still need to nuke the gloss on it. Yeah, I think that's what it's supposed to look like. See how that looks. So I think the height is too strong on it. There we go. Cool. That looks really cool. Let's actually decrease the size of this. Let's redo this. I'm gonna grab Roboto. Of course, making a stencil for this might be more ideal. However, that takes time, and I am a lazy person. It is smaller, right? Yeah. Cool. All right, we'll leave it at that. Do a test render and see how we're looking so far. There we go. Nice. I think the red looks a little bit cheesy. Um, Adjust this light. I think maybe it's hitting it a bit too directly. That's the position moves. That looks pretty decent. I think what I'm going to do is tone down some of these specs out here. They're not really looking too hot, too good. So I think I'll just tone those down. And we did that. Where did we do that at? Let me actually start coloring stuff here. So rear green. No, actually, we didn't do it there. Did it here. Height specs. I'll go ahead and just grab a paintbrush, brush it all out. And then I'll down here too. There. And I'll lower the opacity just ever so slightly. We still get a little bit of them, but not too much. And I think what I'll do is I'll take the There's thumbnails to specular. There you go. I feel like I just need to lower it all, sort of. Just felt a bit too cheesy, I think. Yeah, and then lowering the gloss on where the red is, I think, is a good call. Yeah, so now we can really work in some oils here. That'll look really cool. Yeah, some oils leaking out from these bullets, I think, will look super cool. You can go ahead and do that. I'm hyped to do this. Okay, so let's go ahead and symmetry. Let's paint in some oils. My favorite part. And let's break it up for the sake of symmetry. Let's remove some of it, add some of it here. Remove this, add it more here. Move it from the right side. Let's add some of it right there. Let's see how that looks. Sweet. Let's make it a bit stronger in some areas. And then let's get to doing some stenciled oils. Cool. One thing I will add, actually, let me just export it real quick. Nice. One thing we will add is we'll add the fingerprint that we see here. Go ahead and use that David Grurier's fingerprint stencil. Actually, maybe we can try this, actually. Not quite. Maybe something like this. I'm gonna add a paint layer. The linear dodge add. We can paint it on. Yeah, she looks. I feel like it's a bit too blurry, actually. So I'm gonna just grab. Where to go? Where to go? This one. Yes. I'll grab one of these. These are a bit more high res, I think. Yeah. Maybe do it on a separate layer. Fingerprint. Okay, so it's subtly visible. There we go. Let's do this. Add a filter. Well, maybe we just softly paint out some of the border. There we go. Paint it off on the edge too. I don't really like that. Keep it sort of right there. Cool. Go back to our oils and let's start stenciling in some other oils. Cool. A speck right there. Some of that. Cool. That's looking pretty cool. think I'd like to maybe add... So the lighting kind of is going to be a bit difficult here since the bullets are like a shiny metal and this is like a dull metal. So you got to kind of balance blowing out these lights with keeping the oils and stuff all visible here. So one thing I am going to add is this ring in here is just too clean. I need to dirty that up. Take this oil layer, just kind of duplicate it right here. That black mask. Let's go ahead and just stencil in some quick stuff. That. That's better. It's still not quite there. Try that. Okay, too strong. Dial it back to about 0.9. That looks good. I like that. I think that's fine. I think I'm going to do... Let's work on the normals on these pieces. I think these pieces that stand out should look a little bit cooler. So let's add some... I think some brushing would look cool. So let's go grab that Quixel brush material. And let's add it like this area. Maybe we paint it on these faces right here. It's kind of loosely painted on. We'll fix it if need be. Oh, I just realized my paint wasn't... I'm out of black mask, redo that with full opacity. Maybe we should just select actually grab the UV. Right. So this is part of the reason why I made a lot of texture sets for this guy. So in probably like a normal game or something, this is actually a pretty prominent area that you would see. But yeah, I'm doing like mega close-up renders, so we have all this resolution so we can get all this cool detail in there. So it's pretty much the main reason why I added a lot of texture sets to this guy. Okay. I think that 45-degree grind looks kind of cool. Let's influence the gloss on it. And then let's lower it. There's just spec channels like looking a little brushy. I think that'll look fine. If we export that, I think that'll look cool. Increase it just a tiny bit. Let's try to get some of these brushy shapes out of here. So it's all on this layer. So we can go ahead and add paint. Just so it looks a little bit less like we just took a standard brush on it. And you can hardly notice it, but leaving just shapes like this is oftentimes not a good idea. You'll see it from one angle and it'll be like a harsh lip where the standard brush kind of fell off. So Okay. Let's add some diffuse variation. I don't think we have much going on in diffuse actually. Yeah, so that's a good idea of something to add. So we can go ahead and grab a dirt generator. I kind of want to just something like that, but add a fill to it. Grab like a dry one of these. Let me do it up here. Yeah, something like this. Hit a pause for the train there. So here we are. All right. Use. Increase the scale so we get some dirtier shapes like that. Set it to multiply. My idea was to go a bit higher in the diffuse, do something like this, decrease the balance, lower it all. I think that's pretty decent actually. We'll do that, and then we'll take off, set it to normal. We'll do this. Maybe subtract out the dirt generator, so that we're just sort of getting these outside areas. Yeah, that's not bad at all. Not bad. We can also go the other way. We can duplicate this. Set this. Let's name these to diff one. We'll call this cavity diffuse. Call it light diff. Dark diff. Dark diffuse. I'm gonna paint this in. So one thing I'm gonna try to do. Let's see what happens if I do this. If I add like this darker effect around the bullets, see what happens actually. Oh. Okay, we could try it. Sort of maybe keep it subtle. Keep it out of the oils too, because if we get too dark with the oils, then it'll just get like super, super dark. So don't want that. Paint on a little bit. I don't think we're really going to gain much out of this, but stencil in some stuff. Not sure if that got picked up. My neighbor just like, my upstairs neighbor just like dropped something. Skill issue. Yeah, let's not touch the gloss. Yeah, so it looks like a lot of the areas that we're already painting in kind of already oiled up a little bit, so I don't really think we need them. Just add some really subtle, darker shapes. I think that looks really cool. Looks pretty cool. I just realized I'm exporting the bullet and the cylinder. We don't need the bullet. Okay, there we go. Much faster. Man, this is looking pretty cool. Yeah, this is looking pretty sweet. Oops, sorry. So there's one thing. So we've got pretty good. I think we're pretty close to finishing this, although there's one small thing that I kind of want to add. So when bullets kind of explode, they get this sort of... Actually, let me pull up a reference. Okay, so this was the reference that I was gonna try to look for. Like this kind of like bluish buildup or somewhere around some of these, but I think that's gonna make it look super like used and worn. So maybe we don't do that, or maybe we could just try a little bit. Let's try a little bit of it. So it's called like blue. So it's like when copper like oxidizes and becomes blue. So we'll just we'll try it out. It might not work, but I may end up removing it. So in that case, you can just skip this part if you want. But let's get a different stencil going. Super subtle details. This is something that we're just gonna keep like a paint layer on top and just kind of oh shoot. You know, it's not the worst thing I've seen. Just ideas for may not be the most realistic thing, but I think it looks pretty cool. So I'm gonna add it. As I think you should add it if you think it looks cool too. I think I removed a bit too much from over here. There we go. Sweet. Just some nice color to it. Something something that we like. We like a little bit of color. Because guns are just black metal. Boring black metal, so adding a bit of color is not gonna hurt us. Speaking of color, we have a bit of this yellow stuff that I am now noticing. So this yellowish, reddish stuff, so we should probably add that as well. Let's grab our specular. I know we have it somewhere, don't we? Yeah, color variation. Cool. Let's go ahead and do this. Make it yellow. Let's stencil in it using. I'm gonna grab that paper. Grunge paper ripped. I'm gonna stencil in some of the areas that should be yellow. That, although this, yeah, we were affecting the gloss as well. So, specular channel. Increase the color. There we go. It might be a bit much, but we can always tone it down. I usually like to go a bit stronger with the details on the first pass and then just tone it down as needed. Personal preference. As opposed to building things up like subtly, I like to go ham and then tone things down. So like this will look pretty awful, I think, in the render. But we will tone it down. Super subtle. Maybe even change the color. It might even just be a little bit of the color that's just not working for us. Shift it towards like a brownish. Yeah, something like that maybe. It is not that bad. Although right here it's really strong. So I'm gonna take a low opacity. Brush it out a little bit. strong there, a little strong there, a little strong there. Okay. It's just a kind of a pretty subtle little detail that they have. Do we see there? I'm trying to pick apart some other details. It looks like some of these faces have a little bit of grinding to them. What I think I'll do is I'll take. We have a brush layer somewhere, right? Yeah. We'll take this brush layer and black mask it onto just some areas. Yeah, so we get like a little bit of a grind there. Increase the scale to a believable scale. So this will help break up the edge highlight. Awesome. Yeah, that looks really cool. So this helps break up this edge a little bit, so it's not just perfect. Which, speaking of perfect, now we should go and chip up some of these edges because these edges are very chipped. So I'm gonna go ahead and I have a couple ways of doing this. I'll go ahead and grab it generator. We'll do metal edge wear generator. Actually, let's use a mask editor. That is a generator, right? Mask. Oh, wait, that's mask builder. Mask editor is what I want. We'll go ahead and grab the curvature, set it to edges. Turn off everything. Except for the fine edges here. There we go. Go ahead and set the balance. Mess with the contrast a little bit, get the brightness. So let's levels so we can get these a bit brighter. There we go. Okay, now let's add a filter. Let's try a blur slope. Yeah, that looks cool. Try something like that, and then we'll try. We can probably recycle it from down here somewhere. Oh, looks like we're auto-saving. That, set it to multiply. Let's change the contrast. Increase the scale. There we go. So now what we can do is we can take the height. I like to do low in the gloss when I do edge wear, edge nicks like this. Let's just try that. This is kind of a cool effect, but I mean, it's just not really masking properly. Let's go ahead and add a paint, set it to multiply. We can paint off all the details that we don't want. Paint sort of like in here, where we do want them. Okay, let's try a different method actually. Instead of this mask editor, I'm gonna try a UV border generator. I think this is gonna work a lot better actually. Yeah, I think already this is gonna look a lot better. Okay, so we have this set to multiply. Okay, that'll break up some of the edges. I'm gonna grab another generator. This one's gonna be a dirt generator. I'm gonna subtract. That we're kind of just getting some of the edges. We don't really want it in the cavities, we just sort of want it on the edges. Let's see how this looks. I have to do some bit of manually painting, but yeah, we might have to do a bit of manual work. For some reason, I usually just a normal like edge generator will work. Yeah, the curvature generator is just a bit too soft, I think. Just paint out some of these. Sort of localize it to just the edge. That makes sense. See how it's coming out too far, so we just kind of paint it. It's like that, so we just keep it on the edge. Set the brush to 0.01. Let's paint in our own. These corners are for sure, yeah, these corners are like totally destroyed. So, something like that. This one particular thing right here bothers me. There we go. Let's set it to 0.01 again. I really wish I could just go from like immediately change it to 0.01, but I can't. I have to go up there and type it. Someone should make a plugin for that. I don't use any plugins, by the way. There's just no plugins. In case you were wondering. Or add-ons. I don't know what they call them, but so one thing I'm seeing, some of the edges down here aren't working out properly. Yeah, so let's paint out this real quick. And I think we can move on. I have one other thing I kind of want to add, that I see right now at least, that I want to add. So we see like these really thick stuff going on. Let's try to add some of that. We'll call it height specs. Now this was the OG height, the OG height layer. We have oily height. So I'm going to take this layer, just duplicate it, black mask. And let's try to manually paint in some stuff. Yeah, some stuff like that. We can get some long shapes going, like that. Yeah. Maybe not all of these. See what that looks like. Because I don't think we were really capturing the blobbiness of some of these oils a bit too strong. So we can just take the height. Looks cool, but I think we just need to take the height down. Yeah, keep these pretty subtle, but I think the height will really show through really nicely. Let's try setting the height to normal. Maybe lower the gloss on them a bit. I think we're looking pretty cool. I think we are looking pretty cool. It look like if I do this. It's the wrong direction. Yeah, this is totally gonna be like a thumbnail shot right here, something like that. This looks pretty sweet. I really like the blue coloring we got going on. Trying to see. Let's go ahead and scour our reference. We actually haven't checked the side. Man, I really like this look. This does look pretty sweet. Pretty hyped about that, how this thing turned out. The cylinder's really important too, so yeah. Removing the brushing was probably the best idea we could have done. Looks a lot cleaner visually. Oh, we gotta get the brushing stuff going on. So none of these are symmetried, but we can work on, that'll be fine. See if there's a reference with it. Yeah, no major close-ups of the cylinder, unfortunately. This is just something that I think we're just going to add. So let's take our brush layer. Go ahead and give it a slight turn, keeping it subtle. We're going to turn off the specular, turn on the gloss. Sorry, that was my wrist cracking. Wrist is cracking a lot today. Let's go ahead and set it to triplanar, maybe. Okay. Yeah, I think triplanar will work just fine. Yep. All the same direction. That's what we want. Yeah, see how that looks? Nice and subtle, but if you're looking at it, it's there. Cool. Grab a sip of water while I look at this. Man, this is looking pretty cool. I think maybe we can get some more oils, maybe? Looking a bit flat in areas, but honestly, I think that's kind of ideal. Let's lower this machining. Curved milling, let's take it down to like 2 in the height. The gloss, oh yeah, the gloss is too strong on that. Yeah, let's again just have that to be a really subtle effect. What does the other side look like? Cool. Oh, I think I actually also messed up the lighting a bit, so there we go. Mm-hmm. Let's try to add a few oils. Yeah, I think we could do with a few little oils here and there. Some stenciled on shapes. And a new paint, because this one we're going to tone down significantly. Actually. Scratches. Let's do some scratches. How about that? Specular on them. Yeah, this would read pretty good if it was a raw metal, but anyways, let's get some scratches. And for this, we're gonna grab that nice David Grurier's scratches. This one? I think it was this one. Yeah, I believe it was this one. Let's grab a levels so we can take out the gray values, just leave it to black and white. Let's get a prominent one on like the visible area of this over here. Get like a double scratch, like you're not a double scratch. And from this angle right here, looks really cool. Get some subtle little scratches in there. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. All right, I think we can work in a bit more, some more oils, maybe a more obvious like finger. Well, we have the fingerprint down. I can rotate this, can't I? Yeah, so I think just some more oils, and then I think we can be able to call it good after that. We'll see. Maybe just some oils in the or some scratches in the gloss, maybe. That might look cool. It's pretty cool, I think. Nice little fine little scratches that we'll see. I think that looks pretty good, actually. Yeah, that looks great. Let's go back to grunge fingerprints dirty. Stencil on some of this stuff. Stuff right here. Looks pretty sweet. I love the subtle yellow effect that we have. I think it looks super nice. Yeah, this looks really awesome. I don't know if I have anything else I'd want to add to it. See, let's look at the front of the revolver actually. Okay, so we need to detail this up a little bit. We kind of neglected the looks like we definitely neglected the front a little bit. I'm gonna kind of go through each layer and sort of do what it's doing back here, but kind of move it to like over here as well. Let's go ahead and just try this. We get some details for free there. Um, Go ahead and activate symmetry. There we go. Work right here. Unfortunately, don't have a whole lot of good references of the front here, so we're gonna have to kind of get creative a little bit, I think. We got that. Maybe do some oils leaking around the bullets. Already got this part going, so. I don't foresee us doing much here. The red needs to go. Where's the red? Yeah, this needs to go. I think most of the work I'm going to put into the um, back of the revolver. Cylinder, I mean. Or we do need some stuff up here, so. We do need a little bit. Okay. Go ahead and grab some oils. We just stencil in some quick oils. I think one thing I'm going to do. I'm going to take these. I don't think I'm going to do a render with these inner cylinders visible, but if I do, I just want them to be very low in the gloss. Then maybe what we can do is add like a brushing effect. Take our recycle one of these brushing layers that we have. Put it in here. Yeah. Yeah, something like that. I think that'll look cool. I'm noticing one thing, that we have a lot of the dark diffuse stuff over here, but we don't have a lot of it on the side of the cylinder, so. Let's add a quick fill to get it going. Add a paint, set it to multiply. We only affect up here, not back there, only up here. This will help make sure that the side view, when we don't have much light on it, not look as flat. And just rotate it and make it light. Yeah, that looks. Looks pretty decent. Although there's this one oil right here. Is this oil right here? Yeah, this oil right here is just too strong. Yeah. So I was looking in that particular lighting scenario. It was looking super. The too high of a gloss makes things get really dark. Like I've said that a couple times. It's important to know. One thing, I'm going to try to lower the, well, maybe the specular actually. Get it. I'm going to try lowering the specular. Get that a bit closer to the main body. Nice. Okay. Yeah, that looks great. So we've got the material separation, but we wanted to make sure that it's not too much. So I think it was just a bit too much. So I went ahead and just lowered that a little bit. Think what should we do now? I think I'll lower the edges a little bit. I got that. I think I'll decrease this effect quite significantly. And maybe go down in the specular. Maybe we go up in the specular. Okay. Well, I think we've achieved a pretty sweet result. I think we're gonna lower the gold just a tiny bit, and then I think I'm gonna wrap it up there. Yeah. You think I have anything else? Maybe one thing I'll try is with these rushing things going on here. Where's those? Maybe I'll increase the specular on those. Ooh, that looks cool. Yeah, that looks really awesome. Oh. Increase the normal on it a bit, on the brushing a bit. That's too much. Down. Yeah, something like that I think looks really cool. All right, I think I'll wrap it up there. Of course, if I make any changes, I'll mention that in the next part. I'll go ahead and set up like one of these really cool test renders and probably post it on Twitter or something. But I think we're gonna end it off there. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you on the next part where we get to do some wood. And that's pretty fun to do. So pretty excited for that. So take care. I'll see you on the next one.